NFL coaching rumors are heating up, and we kick off today's Four Verts episode with Matt LaFleur trade buzz. My name is Harrison Graham. Welcome into the show. Could Green Bay, despite yesterday's report from Adam Schefter saying that both sides are working toward an extension, could they actually end up trading their head coach? Well, Rob Demovsky of ESPN, who's covered the Packers for a long time, threw this out there yesterday via ESPN Milwaukee. He said, is it possible they're, talk about the Packers, working on an extension that they know LaFleur wouldn't take? Then it makes them look like, hey, we tried, but ultimately we decided we couldn't come to an agreement. Or does Matt LaFleur go in there and say, I want $16 million per year, and the Packers say no? This report of LaFleur and the Packers working on a new deal doesn't necessarily mean he's the coach next year and the years after. I think all of those things are in play here. And I'll say this, in situations like this, negotiations for player, coaches, etc., to me, the longer these things go, the more other possibilities pop up, right? Like Schefter said that they're working toward a deal and that by Wednesday, that's kind of the target date to get something done. Well, it's Tuesday. So if we get into tomorrow and there's no deal, are they exploring other options? Like, would they try to just make him available via trade? Because he does have a year left on his deal. I think this is a unique case because I think sometimes since the Sean Payton trade, everybody's like, let's just trade our coach. I actually think this is a situation where you could, especially if you play it right. If you're like, hey, we're working on an extension to Demovsky's point, couldn't agree on terms, Matt wants this, we're willing to offer this, it's just not going to work out. Hey, if you're interested, send us your trade offer for Matt LaFleur. I look at these teams available. Who wouldn't want Matt LaFleur as their head coach? He's got ties to the Atlanta Falcons, coached there under Kyle Shanahan before. He's got ties to the Tennessee Titans, was an OC there before the Packers hired him. I think a team like the Raiders, who are going to have the number one pick and draft a quarterback, would love having Matt LaFleur and his guidance and his history of developing quarterbacks at the helm. You're telling me Cleveland wouldn't want, the Giants, if they don't get Harbaugh? I think all of these teams should and would want Matt LaFleur. So I do think if Green Bay played this right, like if they just decided they didn't want him, or if they have a clear line like, hey, we're maxing out at $12 million a year, and he wants 15 or whatever, then they could get something for Matt LaFleur. So it's kind of the working theory here that Demovsky's thrown out there and that I'm kind of running with as well, is that could they, quote-unquote, lowball Matt LaFleur and end up getting draft capital for him? Because in a cycle that's not loaded with proven offensive coaches, I think a guy like Matt LaFleur, A, would have a ton of interest from other teams, and B, you could get good draft capital if you're Green Bay. Maybe not a first-round pick, but could you get like a second-round pick and a day 3 pick? I wouldn't rule that out. I think a lot of these teams would line up and be interested in trading for LaFleur and what he brings to the table. Okay, what do you guys think happens with Matt LaFleur? Type E if you think he gets extended by Green Bay. T if you think they trade him. F for fire. I don't think they would fire him. I think that's off the table at this point. But extension is still probably most likely, but as time continues to pass, I do think there's a chance that they could trade him, and I wouldn't be shocked if they've gotten calls already from teams who are interested in trading for Matt LaFleur. Okay, let's get to Mike Tomlin now. What's going to happen with the Steelers head coach? Once again, one and done in the NFL playoffs. Winning 10 games is no small feat. I'm not acting like he stinks. I just think at some point, what are we doing here? He got blasted again in the first round. It's the same story every single year, no matter who the quarterback is. Now, the recent reports leading up to the game were they won't fire Tomlin. But the theory or the idea out there is that he has multiple TV offers that he could choose to walk away and go do television for a couple of years and then, reconsider his coaching future. Maybe jump back in and go to another team. But we'll see what ends up happening here. We'll talk a little bit more about this coming up next. But first, a word from our sponsor. Today's show is sponsored by Polymarket. It is time to challenge the status quo, and Polymarket is now live to help us do so. You can be part of the revolutionary alternative to sportsbooks with our special invite code CHAT. Download Polymarket's new app right now via the special link that is in the description and the comments of this video to unlock exclusive early access and a free $10 in your account with the invite code CHAT. Polymarket is a prediction marketplace that lets you make trades on the outcome of sporting events. It's pretty freaking awesome. As you can see right here on screen, you can even buy and sell a game with live trading. I've been doing it all the time throughout the playoffs. Polymarket has their lowest fees ever. You trade against other people, not the platform. You can cash out anytime and react to momentum swings within the game. You are in control. It is legal and available nationwide in all 50 states on their iOS app right now. For this week's Bears game, Polymarket is giving Chicago just a 38% chance to win at home. I love that value with the Rams flying cross country and playing in freezing temperatures. Take advantage with Polymarket today. $10 free is waiting for you. No card, no deposit, nothing. Download the app with our exclusive code chat at chatsports.com/Polymarket for exclusive early access and $10 free. To me, when it comes to Mike Tomlin and his future in Pittsburgh, I think you have two options if you're the Steelers. Either run it back with Tomlin and Rodgers or go in a new direction. Like, if I'm a Steelers fan, I don't want Tomlin back with a brand new quarterback, especially a young guy. And it's not because Tomlin's not good. Kind of like Matt LaFleur. If he became available, like John Harbaugh, people would be crawling for him as a head coach. Sometimes it's just time. It's just time. The Ravens decided it's time. It was a hell of a run. Like John Harbaugh, Tomlin won a Super Bowl, but in recent years, there hasn't been enough playoff success. The Ravens, at least a couple years ago, were in the AFC Championship game. Steelers haven't won a playoff game in 9 years. I just think it's time for something new. Just because you want to move on from somebody doesn't mean he's a bad coach. In fact, I think he's a great coach, but again, they're not going to fire him. I'm not even saying they should fire him, but I wouldn't have fired John Harbaugh if I'm the Ravens. But I don't completely blame them for doing so because, in their case, you have a guy like Lamar Jackson in the middle of his prime. Do you want to do this another 5 years and be like, man, would it have been worth trying something different to see if we could get over the hump? With Pittsburgh, it's not even about getting over the hump. It's like we're just stuck in the middle. It's like we're not good enough at quarterback. The defense is high paid, but it doesn't really live quite up to the billing. It just feels like it's gotten stale. And so we'll see what happens until proven otherwise. Recent history suggests he'll be back. And if he is back, I would imagine they try to bring Rodgers back, although it kind of felt like that was it last night. So, again, to me, the worst-case scenario for Pittsburgh is they bring him back and they try some random new veteran quarterback. I would rather go in a completely new direction at QB and head coach than, split it down the middle with Rodgers retires and they try a different coach. Okay, speaking of John Harbaugh, secret meeting, kind of, with the Giants. It was reported by Ian O'Connor and then the New York Post as well that Chris Mara, the brother of Giants owner John Mara, Chris also works in the front office, reportedly informally met with John Harbaugh. So we'll kind of go through the timeline and sequence of events here that's been reported. Ian O'Connor saying that he met with John Harbaugh, Chris Mara did, for lunch on Sunday, had an informal meeting at the coach's house. People on both sides say Harbaugh remains very interested in the Giants' job. Paul Schwartz from the New York Post added this. Chris Mara, Giants senior player, personnel exec, was in Baltimore Sunday, had lunch. They met at Harbaugh's home. This is the first time Harbaugh sat down with an executive from one of the teams interested in hiring. Now, we did find out on Monday he had an interview with Atlanta as well, so he's met with those two teams in some capacity, formally with the Falcons, informally with the Giants. Paul Schwartz added this, quote, Harbaugh and Giants GM Joe Schoen spoke for about 30 minutes on Thursday. I do think this is kind of an interesting angle of all this, of does John Harbaugh want to work with Joe Schoen? And if he doesn't, are the Giants willing to just part ways with him or move him to a reduced role and let John Harbaugh bring his own guy in? I still think that's an angle here that is worth discussing, as a lot of teams are interested in bringing him in. Ian O'Connor added this, that Joe Schoen made direct contact with Harbaugh by phone and had been in near constant contact with the coach's camp, but Sunday marked the first time a member of the Giants franchise had talked to Harbaugh with Harbaugh face-to-face. That, of course, was Chris Mara. Tom Coughlin, the Giants' iconic former coach, per Paul Schwartz, who led them to the two most recent Super Bowl victories, is believed to have spoken with Harbaugh as well. No doubt putting in a good word about the Giants. You would expect the next step here, as the Giants are clearly full speed ahead pursuing John Harbaugh, is a formal interview, right? Like he's starting to take interviewed with Atlanta yesterday. I would expect the Giants today, tomorrow, later this week, whenever the case is, will do a sit-down formal interview with him as well. The belief has been those are the two teams he's most interested in, but there are other teams that are in the mix for John Harbaugh as well, including one we're going to talk about coming up here in just a moment. But I want to ask you guys, which team ends up hiring John Harbaugh? Is it the Giants? Is it the Falcons? Is it another team? Is it the Packers if they trade Matt LaFleur? Give us your thoughts down in the comment section below. All right, let's get to another team that we should not dismiss in their pursuit of John Harbaugh. Tom Peliserro saying that don't count out the Tennessee Titans. It's a great place to live. They have a new stadium opening. Cam Ward played better and better down the stretch. I agree with that. And they have a ton of resources in terms of cap space to rebuild that roster. And I think something that's underrated with these coaches who have been around a while, yes, if John Harbaugh wants to coach, he wants to go to the best football situation. But John Harbaugh is 63 years old. Nashville's a pretty nice place to live. A lot of people retire there. He could look at that and say, hey, they got a lot of cap space. Cam Ward's a talented young quarterback. Also, my family in Nashville, it's pretty nice. It's kind of a poppin' city these days. You can live in the burbs. You can live in the city. They've got high draft picks, obviously. Cap space is there. Historically, the division's been manageable. Now, I would say it's gotten a lot tougher in the last year and a half. The Texans obviously aren't going anywhere. The Jags had a great year, and even the Colts are solid. So it's definitely, it could profile to be a really tough division moving forward, but historically it has not been. I doubt he goes to Tennessee, but what if they make him some crazy offer? What if Mike Borgonzi flexes his muscles a little bit? It's like, hey man, I'll give you 5 years and $100 million, $20 million per year, bring in whoever the hell you want on the coaching staff, and I'll give you say on personnel decisions. Like that would be a pretty enticing offer from Tennessee. So, I think that the Titans, to me, have always kind of been a sleeping giant because Nashville is such an attractive, just place to live for people. And like I said, historically, the division hasn't been that good. Mike Vrabel had a lot of success there. So I wouldn't completely dismiss that either. I think you're going to have to offer more than these more historical franchises like the Giants are willing to offer. But don't discount that. I think Tennessee could be a spot that John Harbaugh really, really thinks about. So we'll see if he interviews with them formally. All right, subscribe to the channel. We're closing in on 16,000 subscribers. We're dropping daily videos, NFL, college football content. I put up a late-night episode last night recapping Wild Card Weekend, so if you want to check that out, please do. It's the most recent video in the content tab here on the channel. All of our other videos are right there as well. So appreciate everybody who's subbed already, and if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. All right, a busy man after the Chargers end up crashing out of the playoffs is Jesse Minter, as he is slated to interview for all 8 open vacancies. All 8 teams want to interview him. So he is going to be very, very busy over the next week or two. And for the Chargers, you could be looking at kind of a mini reset on their coaching staff under Jim Harbaugh. We'll get to Greg Roman in a sec. They just fired him. But if they lose Jesse Minter, a little adversity for Jim. Now, Jim Harbaugh, a lot of success. I still think he's done a hell of a job to make the playoffs in both years. This year, especially with all of the injuries, especially on the offensive line. Like, is it Jim's fault that Justin Herbert just has not played well in the playoffs? I don't think it is. But Jesse Minter, that would be a big loss because that defense played well all freaking year, and they'd have to go in a new direction. And now they fired Greg Roman, which you kind of saw coming based on Harbaugh's non-committal remarks on Roman after the game. And which, by the way, is just side topic here. If their tackles are healthy next year and they have a new OC that's well, who's well versed in just having success, a Mike McDaniel, whoever, insert really good offensive mind, It's like there's no excuses left for Herbert at that point if that ends up being the case. So they're going to have to replace him. You would think that's a very coveted OC job, by the way. Eagles, they're probably going to fire their OC, Kevin Patullo, although that has not happened as of filming this. Brian Flores is officially out of his contract. The Commanders are trying to interview him. We will see if that ends up happening. There's a rumor/report out there that the Cowboys want to interview former Cardinals head coach Jonathan Gannon to potentially be their DC. He, of course, was the Eagles' defensive coordinator in their first trip to the Super Bowl under Sirianni a few years ago. So you would think he's going to get a lot of looks as well. But this coordinator market is heating up just like the head coaching market. So we will continue to cover that as well. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to Four Verts. We will continue to monitor the coaching landscape as all eyes are on John Harbaugh, but let's monitor this Matt LaFleur and potentially Mike Tomlin situation as well, because until there's reported resolutions there, those are kind of hanging in the balance. My name is Harrison Graham. Give us a follow on our Instagram page at 4VertsIG, and we'll see you soon.